Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Akash Weekly Twitter Spaces. I'm Nadia Bajuelo, Community Events Manager here at Overclock Labs. I hope all of you listening now or watching later are having a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever it is that you are today. With that, let's get started with today's Spaces. Greg will be kicking us off with updates and news. After updates, we'll give you guys a full introduction to our guests today, Kate Kim, BD and Operations Manager at Mantra, and Harshita Mathur, System Analyst at Mantra. During our guest segment, we'll be talking to Kate and Harshita about Mantra, the Mantra and Akash partnership, and then we'll move on to a short discussion where we'll hear more from Kate and Harshita on how projects can stand out in the growing crypto ecosystem sprawl. Finally, we'll wrap up with an AMA with Greg and our guests. As mentioned, we'll give a proper introduction and welcome to Kate and Harshita just after updates. But for right now, let's hand it off to the man of the hour and CEO of Overclock Labs, Greg Osuri. Take it away, Greg.
Thanks so much, Nadia. Great to be back for another round of spaces. Well, the big news is Mainnet 4 is coming tomorrow. Prop 27 passed with flying colors, and all the validators look like are ready to go. We have over 50 providers all ready to go, excited about this upgrade. It's we've been waiting for this upgrade for a long time, and it's finally here. So I'm super excited for this upgrade and super excited for the use cases it's going to unlock. Mainly, I'm going to see quite a lot of Solana and Handshake and Urbit and a whole lot of new tools that are going to pop up. So I'm super excited, and it's been quite a few weeks. I mean, in fact, it's been quite a few months to be honest with you. But last 2 weeks has been horrible. All of you, I'm really, really, deeply sorry for those of you who have their funds stuck in FTX. A lot of my very close friends have been hit by this. But it's contagion, really, tracing back to Luna. So terribly sorry about it. But also this, tells you how important decentralization is. I mean, quiet on the subject for a lot, but there's no other proof point that every centralized player that we trust and grow to really admire failed us. And only thing that hasn't failed is decentralization, right? If you think about cloud as the central fabric for a society, you know, there has never been more time to understand the importance of decentralization. So we're very proud of our work. We are very proud to make progress through the noise and um, through this contingent and minute four at the worst of the markets is a ray of hope. So hope you all will like it. And we're also going to come up with a user interface to accompany this mainnet 4. So that should be the next main launch after mainnet 4. But I think team has been really, really, you know, it's very hard to upgrade a decentralized network, as you may say. So it requires so much coordination with so many different players, all the way from, the validators to providers to all the exchanges, the centralized exchanges that have integrations, the wallet providers, the um, uh, block explorers. It's a whole ecosystem, and there's 7 different clients on top of Akash. It's a whole ecosystem that needs to upgrade every time we have massive upgrades like these. So it's enormous work, and all of them doing you know doing incredible work in these conditions is just a really hats off to the industry. So I'm super proud to be part of this Web3 journey. Um, yeah, so I mean, looks like our friends at Cloudmos is getting really close to giving you the alerts. I mean, we talked about the importance of having alerts on Akash. I mean, a big problem that I see with workloads dropping off is lack of alerting, right? So, for example, when I deploy something on Akash, and in order to for the deployment to be active, I need to keep to ensure that there are funds in the escrow account to pay for the deployments. More often than not, I forget to re-up my funds, and my deployment might go away, and there's no way for me to know. So Cloudmos announcing these alerts is such an amazing way for me to keep up to date with my deployments. um, you know, Maybe even write a system where I can top up automatically every time my deployment goes to a number that's below minimum. So it's really exciting to see ecosystem step up, and the screenshots look amazing. I also miss out voting on a lot of proposals, right? So this alerting system is going to help me keep up to date um, with the with whatever is happening across my Cosmos chain. So I'm super excited about it. Um, and another thing we're working on is, we talked about it quite a lot, but economics 2.0. I've seen quite a lot of chatter about like take income, in the back burner. Yes, we are responsible for like putting that in the back burner, but I feel like now we have a very, I mean, it's a very interesting space to be in America, to be a US based sort of like crypto company, right? I think Akash has reached is a degree of decentralization. We can actually start having the conversation about value approval for AKT, because really the justification is, well, Akash AKT token secures the Akash network, right? So it's very important that the AKT token value stays higher for the security of the network, especially when we're getting into the real critical zone of adoption, which is GPUs and artificial intelligence. I think there's going to be quite a lot of value that'll be exchanged in Akash in the very, very, very short future. Like, a simple workload on machine learning costs about 30 to $40,000, right? And machine learning is a very attractive value proposition for Akash, as you know, we've been talking about it for like 2 to 3 years. But as we're getting extremely close to delivering machine learning, it's also important to ensure that the network, of the safety of the network remains high, right? Because these are really, really expensive workloads. So, in order for the safety of the network to be high, we need to incentivize token holders. And the best way to do that is to, share a percentage of the hosting fees. So initially, we're going to start off with non-AKT settlements. So we did talk about having a fiat-based settlement or like a stable currency settlement first. So any non-AKT settlement, we will be, we're proposing that we take a 20% tax rate, which is essentially a take income, right? So and the proposal is to actually burn the AKTs so it decreases value, burn the take income so it decreases value of the, I mean, so sorry, it decreases supply, thereby enhancing value of AKT tokens. So anything we do, of course, we're going to talk about it in the forum, and we'll open up for a discussion. But that's where the proposal is going, and we're getting really active, getting to that new economic model. So it's super exciting. So take income is not off the table; it is coming in a different form. For those of you that are wondering. So yeah, so with that, we have excellent guests here today. I'll hand it off to Nadia for the rest of the session.
Thanks, Greg. All right. So, our first guest today is Kate Kim, BD and Operations Manager at Mantra. Kate is responsible for leading and growing Mantra Finance, which is Mantra's globally regulated DeFi platform that brings the speed and transparency of DeFi to the world of traditional finance. She graduated with a business degree at USC in Los Angeles and has since worked in banking and entrepreneurship, fintech, and crypto. She first got into crypto in 2016 through her personal interest and to diversify her personal investments. She has worked on site in the US, China, Hong Kong, UAE, and KSA, and continues to help drive expansion for an innovative and ambitious business. Welcome, Kate. So excited to have you. How are you today?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you, Nadia, Greg, and Akash team for hosting us. My day has been quite busy. I was in Abu Dhabi for a crypto conference today and back in Dubai. So, yeah, it's been very eventful.
Awesome. That's great. Our second guest is Harshita Mathur, System Analyst at Mantra. Harshita is working as a system analyst and is originally from India and now based out of Hong Kong. She graduated with a degree in IT engineering and has been passionate about technology. Previously, Harshita held roles as a backend developer and an analyst in the traditional IT sector. Being half a year into the crypto space, Harshita is working closely with Mantra's validator nodes business. Main areas of focus include the node's business growth, analysis of various blockchain data and tools, communicating between the tech and operations, and decision making. Welcome, Harshita. Excited to have you here as well. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Nadia and the Akash team. It's so good to be here. All good on my side. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Good, good. All right, so with that, let's kick it off. Kate, at Mantra, your slogan is Crypto Pioneering Made Personal. Can you help everyone here gain an understanding of what that means by giving us an overview of Mantra and the Omniverse that includes what you guys do and why you do it?
Absolutely. I'll give you a brief overview of Mantra first and then explain the slogan. So, Mantra has always been community focused. The executive team has been present in the space since 2016. So, they understand that communities are what make or break different blockchain companies. And even today, the co founders remain active on Telegram, Twitter, and other channels to respond to community members' questions or concerns. And most importantly, they are transparent to our community every step of the way. I think that a strong component of Mantra is that we listen to the community to make our services better and take feedback into consideration as we build out the next generation of products. Mantra's Omniverse was actually surfaced this year. So we launched in 2020 as Mantra DAO. And since then, we outgrew from just being a DAO to slowly building an ecosystem, or as we call it, Omniverse. And in our Omniverse, it consists of four pillars, which are Mantra Nodes, Mantra Chain, Mantra Finance, and Mantra DAO. So going back to our slogan, crypto pioneering made personal connotes both the personal approach that we have to operating the business along with the innovative solutions that we're constantly building. And being able to effectively listen to Mantra community and the wider crypto market, has allowed us to really develop true, unique, and forward-looking products that we know, will have high demand in the future. So yeah, it's very important for us at Mantra to be involved, to that personal extent.
Thank you. So, Kate, you mentioned that you guys launched in 2020. Can you walk us through your roadmap and tell us where you are on your roadmap today and where you're headed?
Yeah, sure. So Mantra was launched initially on the Polkadot ecosystem as Mantra DAO, as I just mentioned, in 2020. And OM or which is the token, was first launched in August 2020. The founding team was actually enthusiastic on being the first mover within the space, focusing on staking and then eventually moving into other DeFi products. However, the parachains took a bit longer than originally anticipated. So the team at that time, wanting to still deliver products, started building on other chains. So Mantra platform has historically been on Ethereum, BNB Smart Chain, and Polygon, while also having tested on other networks as well. And fast forward 2 years later, we branded Mantra DAO to simply Mantra because what the team had built over the years encompassed a bigger ecosystem than just a DAO. And as I briefly mentioned a minute ago, Mantra still has a DAO pillar, and we'll focus on the community governance and the grants program. But since then, the team has also been developing the additional three pillars, which actually I can quickly go over. So Mantra nodes, since inception, we have been very pro POS blockchain. Running various validator nodes for various chains. And at one point of the height of it, we had more or less 30 active validator nodes running. And while we were going through, to continue to build the aspect of Mantra nodes, we're also moving into a more institutional arena. And Mantra, has the infrastructure required to spin up validator nodes for other people or other companies. And when I mean other people, I mean as in like even banks, hedge funds, family offices, or even just an individual investor. They can easily stake to nodes on chains, like you guys, Akash, Cosmos, through Mantra. And this way, users can enjoy passive income through us, while we deal with maintaining the uptime and other requirements. And actually, Harshita is very involved in our Mantra nodes division. Next, we have Mantra Chain. So this is the idea of building Mantra Chain came about when we decided on a strategy that we wanted to be vertically integrated, meaning with the suite of DeFi products that we're currently building, we would want to eventually own the entire value chain by also launching them on our own chain. So that's kind of how that came about. And finally, Mantra Finance. This is the kind of pillar that I'm very focused on and helping grow. So Mantra has always been pro regulation, and the team have been developing a licensed aspect across the omniverse, and we're doing that through Mantra Finance internationally. And over the last 2 years, we have seen the space slowly adopting crypto regulation. And that's why we've been working, with a number of different regulators around the world to be compliant and also to be a licensed DeFi platform. And in fact, we're currently working with BARA, which is the regulatory arm in Dubai, in hopes of becoming one of the first, if not first, regulated DeFi platforms here. And once we're granted the full license, we will definitely be rolling out our regulated decentralized exchange and tokenization of real world assets in a compliant manner.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. A quick note, I am Jackson and Master Crypto. Welcome. We see you guys. We will bring you up as soon as the AMA starts. Happy to have you. Kate and Harshita, what challenges are you seeing as a result of the bear market, and how do you plan on overcoming these bear market challenges?
Do you want to go first, or should I take it, Harshita? I guess I can go first.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I would say one of the major challenges during the bear market, especially, is that a lot of capital and investor money has been lost. So as a result, there's less and less money to be deployed to good projects that really need investments. So I think the industry growth will definitely slow down. Another challenge recently is that I see that we're losing more and more trust from participants in the space, and especially from traditional institutions that were open to explore and integrate blockchain technology. We are, we are building for retail investors, institutions, interested people in general. But if their support and trust drops out as a result of letdowns from projects like Terra Luna, Celsius, FTX, some of them may not come back for a long time, which will prolong the bear market, in my opinion.
Amazing. Yeah, great words, and very true that it's been mostly centralized exchanges that we've
Yeah,
seen in these collapses.
definitely agreed with Kate as well here. And just adding a little more to that is that, yes, we have been facing the bear market. And the biggest challenge I see here is that no new investors really come in during this period of time, right? So basically, what we got to do is build and keep building new products, services, platforms, everything here and there that can go, right? If we hold on, it is definitely worth the wait. So, the bottom line on overcoming these challenges, as per my perspective, would be that long term investments are the way to go, and we might actually just survive in a bear market. So, that's just how I find about it.
Thanks, Harshita. And very important reminder there, guys. This is not financial advice. As always, do your own research. Harshita, I understand Mantra recently joined the Akash Active Validator set. Can you tell us about this journey and what that was like, and how the experience has been so far?
So definitely, yes. So first of all, I just like everyone to know, and probably some of you might already know, that Mantra has the ability to build various validator nodes. And we have always been very active in the Cosmos ecosystem. And that is why that was one of the platforms from where we actually got collaborated with Akash. um, we actually directly got connected to Akash through our validator network, and that's how we were introduced to the Akash team, and we had some great discussions with Alani thereafter. Um, so for sure, glad to be partnered with Akash. And yes, we are in the active set now. Initially, when we had to get our validator going, we the first thing we did was to check our documents, to check the white paper solutions on our Akash platform. Definitely, setting up how we can actually check the prerequisites of how we can set up a validator. So, saying that, Akash really has a very friendly guidebook to set up a validator, and we also did perfectly fit in the hardware software requirements that we needed. um, Now that we are in the active set, our main focus is to definitely always maintain the uptime of the network. It may be any validator, right, that we are having our nodes on. So we make sure that our network is 24/7 stable, and we keep a track of it. We do have alert monitoring tools for active validators. So if there are any ups and downs, we are alerted immediately. This being said, as Mantra, we have a zero slashing history. Hence, we do have a good streak on not being slashed, and we continue to be aware and maintain all our nodes. As much as we believe in the Akash Mantra partnership, I'm sure the community out there does as well, and hence we wish to receive more delegations and basically just grow stronger together. And it's been a great experience so far.
Awesome. And Harshita, how did you first hear about Akash, or how did you guys at Mantra first hear about Akash?
So yeah, basically, we've been spinning up new nodes and validators since always, since we've been at Mantra, and we've spun up different flavors, say Tendermint, Substrate, ETH, etc. Right. So based on the past experience, and being said that we have been working in the Cosmos ecosystem, we do know that we did always know that there are good projects that stand out, right? So Akash has always been in our radar there, and we always wanted to have collaborate with it and also to spin up a node for. So speaking of Cosmos, we actually directly got connected to Akash through our validator network. So as I mentioned, we were introduced to the Akash team and had some good discussions with Alani, and he was great to have explained all about the Akash ecosystem and also listened the entire detailed overview about Mantra. So it was basically a great network from Cosmos that we got connected, and so we are for sure glad to have partnered.
I just
Awesome.
want to
That's so great to
quickly
hear that. Yeah,
Sorry, I
go
just want
for
to
it.
quickly add in there that we actually, spun up Akash validator nodes before we got connected to your team. So, we've obviously done a lot of research, being very involved in the Cosmos ecosystem. Found you guys, thought it was a great project to support, and then we got introduced to Alani through our network. So, just wanted to kind of clear that as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks. Always great to hear these stories. So Kate, how else do you guys use Akash, and what's that been like so far?
Yeah, so currently our bare metal servers host our validators. However, we intend to deploy our sentries to Akash for the best kind of decentralized experience. And given that Hetzner, a central service provider for data centers, recently actually prohibited proof of stake validators on their infrastructure, I think Akash's push to provide a decentralized hosting service is poised to become a norm across the industry. And also running blockchain nodes is in our pipeline to provide industry leading Kiri nodes and APIs to builders in the space. So we, as I said, we plan to launch, several products in the first half of next year. So this is another discussion for us internally to look into deploying on Akash. I'm gonna quote Greg. You once said, "I build things for people that build things," and here we are at Mantra. We build things, so we're definitely, finding synergies there to work with you guys.
Awesome. And can you give us a sneak peek of anything coming up in the future?
Harshita, would you like to add to that?
Yep, sure. So, as we are aware that how Akash has its marketplace for cloud computing, which is fast and a low cost solution for application deployment, and as Kate mentioned earlier, we are in process of building our own chain, and with that, uh, it tags along various proof of stake services that would be coming up. So probably next year, the first half, we'd be planning on reevaluating and hosting a few of our services and products. And then thus we can actually plan on having further discussions on how we can integrate it with the Akash marketplace and figure out a roadmap going forward. So I guess it's going to be a futuristic roadmap to have our POS services on there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We'll hear from Master Crypto in just a moment when we get started with our AMA. We'll bring them up first, and then we have about 4 or 5 questions that have come in online. And before we do that, let's just zoom out and look at the broader crypto ecosystem. There is an increasing amount of sprawl and an ever increasing amount of noise. Kate and Harshita, how are you differentiating yourself among the growing sprawl and noise in this crypto space? What advice do you have for others trying to enter the space as this continues to grow, this problem? And Greg, I know your advice is always valued. Please feel free to jump in with any advice that you may have for young projects and others entering this space.
Yeah, sure. I guess I can take a stab at it first. So I do want to highlight again that at Mantra, we're laser focused on meeting our internal timelines to keep track with our roadmap. And so, we're always a builder for the community. So we take into consideration protection, transparency, security very critically. And with the recent failures of centralized exchanges, um, the inability to withdraw assets of your own, we will really differentiate ourselves from this by allowing users to custody their own assets, um, while adding an extra layer of security and working with regulators to bring robust KYC onboarding processes. And yeah, let's call it a permission DeFi platform, where we don't hold any custody of people's assets. I guess my kind of advice is that the noise shouldn't give you a fright and stop you from entering the space. I think we should learn from the noise and just be a lot more careful in our choices. I know many of us have been careful, but I think we actually need to be a lot more careful. I generally look at the stats. I do my research and make sure I feel very comfortable with whatever I'm using or the project that I'm engaging with. So I think that's kind of just my advice there.
Harshita, Greg, anything to add?
Um, I think, as I mentioned before, from Mantra's perspective, we mainly have our focus on the Mantra nodes and to basically keep our build of products going on. Um, as saying what we want to achieve is that the level of transparency with our proof of stake services and the DeFi suite of products is what will differentiate us. And we would definitely want a higher percentage of the people around the world to build their trust once we make them trust us, right? So, if I were to give any advice out there, it would be to do your own research, as Kate mentioned too, and don't be in a haste to invest. Also, invest only how much you can afford to lose. And as we all know, the blockchain does not lie, and it is absolutely transparent and open source to everyone. So all you have to do is basically have a thorough research and you're good to go.
So to add to that, thanks so much, guys, Kate and Harshita. To add to that, I think really, if I'm entering the space now, if I'm a newcomer, I don't know why you would do it at this at this time with all this fire, but if you have high conviction, um, you should go for achieving product market fit, uh, ideally without a token, right? So in the sense that if you can build I mean, it's 2022, there are so many ways to settle payments, right? So, for example, if you were to launch a new blockchain network, um, if your token purpose is only settlement, I wouldn't, you know, launch a token at all, right? I would try to use something like an IBC. There's several settlement mechanisms, stable, unstable, all kinds of things that you can use and adopt. Um, and once you get product market fit, once you need to scale out, you need incentives to incentivize growth. That's when you need to launch a token, right? And ideally, you want to launch a token to your community and not to investors, right? Because there's actually quite a lot of investment right now. It's just that, I mean, there's quite a lot of due diligence as well. um, I think the investments are going to dry up maybe in September of next year, because that's when all the funds will go dry, but funds are to deploy the capital. So there is investments for really good projects, but the likeliness of you raising money pre-product market fit is very, very low, especially as a new project in the space. So optimize for product market fit, optimize for getting users, and don't get into tokens, because once you get into tokens, it opens up a whole new level of complexity, especially with regulatory uncertainty, with any sort of like, with, it's a mess right now. So don't even think about doing a token. I mean, that would be my advice. For some of the successful projects, if you think about it, you know, DYDX is a good example. They didn't launch with a token. They launched the product first, built on Ethereum. It was not great in the beginning because of Ethereum, but them moving essentially to Cosmos, you need a token, right? If you need a sovereign chain, you need a token to secure the sovereign chain. So yes, it makes sense. But once you launch token, you got to think about value accrual mechanisms, right? So you got to tie the mechanism in a way that the usage ideally brings value to the token. So it gets into the whole new territory of like incentive design, incentive alignment. And then now the big question is how much of incentive should go to securing the network, to using the network, right? So yes, I mean, I think all that is going to just add to complexity. So I would just not launch a token. That would be my advice.
Thanks, Greg. With that, let's go ahead and open up our AMA with questions for Greg and our guests, Kate and Harshita. We'll go ahead and get started with Master Crypto. Welcome. So glad to have you. We'll wait for him to be brought up as speaker. I think this is still connecting. Go ahead as soon as you're ready. And make sure to unmute Master Crypto.
Okay. I have a question. Can you tell us about the motivation for investors to keep your token in the long run from the market situation unstable?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question again? Your voice was very low.
So, can you motivation for investor to keep your token in the long run when the market situation unstable?
So, what is the motivation for holding on to? This question is for Greg. So, I'm assuming the
Uh,
AKT token in the long run with the marketplace so unstable.
Yes, sir.
Marketplace is not unstable. Marketplace is stable. Even the general crypto. If you, I mean, when you say unstable, I'm assuming just the general market, the macro market. Uh, Unstable. I can't talk to why the market. I mean, sure, I can give you my pointers as to why the market is unstable, but so why do you need to hold on to AKT token? Um, and what's the motivation for investor? Okay, so what I'm going to say is not investment advice, obviously. Um, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you why you should hold a token, but I can tell you what accrues value for AKT. So AKT token is inherently used to secure the network, right? So there is a limited set of AKT tokens, there are 389 million AKT tokens that'll be ever mined, and each of this token has one vote. So without these tokens, there is no Akash network. So it's very important that these tokens, go up in value with adoption, right? And AKT tokens also being the native token, it is a primary way to for settle both on payment as well as on the provider side on the Akash network. So people use AKT tokens to pay for compute. AKT token also gives incentives for developers through community funding. So there is a whole ecosystem around AKT where the value essentially comes from the demand of AKT token. So we go further into actually extending the value just beyond demand, right? So of course, using a KT token may or may not be great as a settlement because it's very volatile. So people are preferring USDC payments for settling on Akash, for paying on Akash, which is very valid. So for table payments, there is a tax that will be imposed on these stable payments, and that tax will be used to market by AKT in a decentralized way. So AKT will essentially talk to Osmosis or any of these networks to buy AKT using the USDC, the dollars, and burn that AKT. So if more people use USDC or more people use, non-AKT settlement, the value of AKT should grow because there's a lot of burning happening inherently, right? So now the focus is what are we doing to increase the demand for the cloud? So that's really where our team is hyper focused on, right? So the demand for the cloud comes with more capabilities we can add to the network. Right now, the network is limited in capabilities in the sense that you can have compute and storage, but you don't have IP addresses, so it kind of makes it hard to run, nodes, for example, right? Any compute that takes heavy cost is very, very hard to run. Right now, Akash is great for running websites, great for running ephemeral workloads. It's even great for running database-backed workloads because you have like storage now, but it's not great for running nodes, especially something like an Urbit or a Solana, any nodes, especially that need dedicated IP addresses for service discovery, right? So as we keep adding more capabilities, the use cases Akash supports just inherently unlock. And if you think about it, our biggest demand driver is going to be artificial intelligence, AI, because the complexity and the need for GPUs is doubling every 4 months, and there's just not enough GPUs around. And each of these workloads are very, very compute intense in the sense that you know small startups spend tens of thousands of dollars just for getting these GPUs, and we have enormous amount of GPUs that's being unlocked from Ethereum mining, just enormous, about $19 billion worth of GPUs. So Akash is very well positioned to capture that market and bring that demand back. And we're also working with there'll be announcements. We're also working with distribution channels, right? So because Akash is a general purpose cloud, the usage is going to be very general purpose experience. So in order for a better user experience, you need to verticalize in the sense that if you're deploying nodes, Akash should be the best platform to deploy nodes. So if you're deploying, machine learning workloads, Akash should be the best machine learning workload platform. Obviously, as a core team, we can be, we don't have the resources to be able to focus on all these verticals. So what you have done strategically that's very important is to give a developer focused platform so we can have distribution channels essentially built on top of Akash. And that's happening quite a lot. We have about 7 different clients for Akash, right? So uh, 3 clients are very are live, and 4 other clients are in development. 3 clients being Cloudmos, and Speron, and Praetor, all of them enable verticalized Akash and get the demand. And we have other really big enterprises. I can't disclose who they are because we're an NDA. But in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll be able to see these big enterprises actually giving us demand, right? As we get into machine learning, our demand is increasing quite a lot. So yes, our the hyper focused on demand, both in terms of enabling distribution and also making the product super simple to use. That will increase the demand for AKT and or USDC settlement, which basically is a take income, and hence by increases the value of AKT. And this is how the value accrual forms. Now, is AKT a good investment or a bad investment? I'm not a financial advisor. I mean, you have to understand your risk of AKT. You have to understand the capital inflows from a market, macro market standpoint. The Federal Reserve sets the interest rates. That determines how much capital and how much liquidity the market has. That determines the price of AKT and every other asset, right? Right now, there's a lot of fear because the Luna contagion led to FTX, and there are a lot of AKT folks that have big balance in FTX that all got wiped out. So people are looking anyway to exit and just prepare to fight another day, right? So there's quite a lot of sell pressure for AKT coming from a lot of people that are freaked out after FTX. But the core team, we and core investors, we are here. We're not going anywhere, and we are building. In fact, Mainnet 4 is coming tomorrow. That's going to open up a whole new set of use cases that is going to increase demand. And we are, full throttle ahead for GPUs, right? So there's quite a lot of work we're doing. We're not going anywhere for God knows how long. Akash, I founded the company behind Akash Overclock Labs about 7 years ago. I mean, easily we have 7 more years to go. So on a long term, as long as we keep focused on increasing demand for AKT through the activities we're doing, it is going to directly result in a value accrual for AKT, which puts us in a better position in terms of the value in terms of potentially increasing the value. So again, consult with your financial advisor to understand if AKT is a good investment or bad.
We've got about 2 to 3 more questions here. Let's see if we can try to get them in. So, Greg, on Telegram and Twitter, the community shared some concerns. Is Akash still planning to share profits with AKT stakers as it was stated in the beginning? And they point to the seemingly increasing difficulty to not get classified as security by the SEC sorry about that, in light of the recent library decision, court decision.
So library decision. My comments on it. Library decision it basically says any token that has a foundation that has a treasury is a security, which obviously means Ethereum Foundation included, right? So, it's a very broad ruling. Um, Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now we
Oh,
can. Yeah, you cut out for a second there. So it's a very broad ruling.
it's a very broad ruling that says everything in the world is a security, which we obviously need as an industry disagree with, right? I mean, it's a court ruling too, so which is disappointing. Um, so if the library ruling stands, everybody's going to go down as a security, which is not ideal. So I really don't know. Um, we need legislation. It's not regulation anymore. We need laws in the Congress and in the Senate and to the president's desk in the United States. Like we need clear laws, right? There's no question. I mean, FTX contagion was not caught by SEC. Library, bunch of guys building stuff is punished by SEC, and that's not okay, right? That's not okay. That's not, I think this whole thing is going to take a much larger discussion on the Hill. And guess what? Representative Tomer, who is the majority whip. So we have someone in the White House, I mean, in the Congress now, in a key leadership position that is pro crypto, and there is legislation being pushed, right? So, um, so to answer your well, how does it come back to Akash and Overclock Labs? Overclock Labs is a company based in the United States, based in San Francisco. We're a Delaware C corporation. We created Akash Network, and the fact that so to actually clarify in the regulatory frame, I'm not a lawyer again. Like this is my interpretation, and I think a lot of the legal minds in the space agree with my interpretation as well. Just because you earn some sort of like value from a decentralized network does not make it a security, right? Like or even just a commodity. Like if you think about like if you buy gold, right? So if you buy gold and value of gold goes up, you don't people don't call gold a security. Value of gold went up because the demand for gold went up. Same thing with bananas, right? Like or like crops or anything. These are called commodities because it's not about whether somebody makes money or somebody has expectation of profit that makes them security. It's really about who is responsible for that value to accrue, right? So is it the action of a single company or a single entity that the value depends on, or is it a group of entities that cannot collude, the value depends on. So if the answer is it's a group of entities distributed that cannot collude, drives the value of a certain asset, then it's not a security, it's a commodity. But if it's a single entity that's giving the value of the asset, then it's a security. I mean, if you think about in the current collapse of Gemini, right? So Gemini, sorry, exchange, which is which the earn product it increasingly depends on a single entity to give its value. Of course, as a security, right? But Ethereum has burning mechanism with EIP of 1559. Ethereum is not a security, right? I mean, again, we don't know what with the LBR library decision, Ethereum could be a security, but the general consensus that if you label Ethereum as security, I think that's going to create a whole lot of bad news. And I think it won't be because there's so many people invested in Ethereum at this point. Yeah, the value of Ethereum does not come because of work of Ethereum Foundation, right? Ethereum Foundation just sort of like a gatekeeper. People, the millions of users that use Ethereum now, and the value of Ethereum comes because of these millions of users have demand for Ethereum, right? So, so just because Ethereum is giving out profits with EIP 1559 does not make Ethereum a security. So Akash is similarly decentralized. Akash has value accrual now coming from so many other teams. Like we don't like Cloudmos develop in a web UI, and people that use Cloudmos don't even know they're using Akash. Speron uses driving demand, right? I mean, people that use Speron don't even know they're using Akash. So the value of Akash doesn't come from Overclock Labs, but it comes from several players in the ecosystem, and that's going to get even better. Right? I think we're going to start seeing. I mean, we're going to be proposing several proposals coming very very shortly that push funding to on chain, that push for a more decentralized approach. I mean, more community oriented approach for feature development. We're going to see quite a lot of community engagement. So again, being classified as security or a commodity, I mean, as security is a risk and a probability, right? So the fact that we are sufficiently decentralized makes us less likely to to set the alarm bells. And on top of that, Akash is not a finance product. It's not an NFT product. It is a cloud computing product, right? It's a very straightforward cloud computing product. It doesn't do any gimmickry in terms of like giving you high yields or like promising you high returns or any of that stuff. It's very straightforward. You use Akash to, providers use Akash to I mean, the Akash AKT token secures the blockchain as a proof of stake token, and the clear incentives for staking, and because it's needed for security, and people use Akash to get cloud, pay for cloud, and that's the straight up utility. There's no other gimmickry. So,
That,
sorry, go on.
oh, go ahead.
Not yet.
Oh, I was going to say that kind of ties into, let's see if we can squeeze in a last question here. So they're asking, why does Akash, a computing marketplace, need to be Web3 or slash blockchain based? Wouldn't a Web2 implementation have made the development and adoption easier?
Really good question. I mean, this is a question I've been wanting to address for a quite long time. Nobody asked me this question in a long time. Yeah. So why does cloud need to be decentralized? Why is access to the cloud is decentralized? I mean, can it be centralized? Can't you just use a credit card and call it a day? Yeah, you could call it a day, but you got to remember like why we're building a Koch network. You know what I mean? So like if you think about it, cloud is a fabric of modern society. I mean, your data, my data, all our data is stored on the cloud. It's processed on the cloud. Cloud is pretty much runs all our lives. And it is so important that when control, it's so important that you cannot have few companies control it. Right now, there are three companies that control over, I don't know, I mean, latest check, I think over 60 to 70% of the compute. And maybe like eight companies that control 90% of the compute, right? So it's getting to a point where few companies control our future and the thing that secures our lives, and it's getting increasingly concentrated. And guess what? If you were to like take and the effects of this centralized control is number one, stability. So you have terrible stability. You have so many outages. I mean, I think Amazon alone had like 150 outages like last year or something, right? Second is cost. It's prohibitive. Like if you think about half of every dollar you pay for online services goes to the cloud. And while Amazon Web Services had record profits last year, their profits on overall profits are about 30 or 40%. And Amazon's not known for their profits. So the fact that they're making profits I mean, like at this rate is nuts. So they had 40% profits. Also on the instance business, the profit margin is about 90%. So, I mean, David Henson, who created Ruby on Rails, wrote a beautiful post on how cloud becomes prohibitive when it comes to a growth stage company, right? So, the core problem here is not that Amazon is bad or Google is bad. I mean, I'm no one to make that decision. It's just the way the system is set up. It's so incentivized for centralized companies to take over. And if you think about it, as an economist or like basic principle of economics says that, hey, for a company, the best outcome is a monopoly. If you're a company, you want to have monopoly over industry, right? Because then you can set the prices, then you can set you can set the direction. You have a lot of control. But for an economy to flourish, you need a market. You need perfect competition. That means you need people to compete with each other, right? So, so the problem with the cloud is not that it is you know it's not a bad product, right? Yeah, centralized cloud works to a certain degree, but it does not work the way it should work as a public utility. The cloud needs to be a public utility. The only data structure to enable a public utility is a blockchain. I can't think of any better structure, right? So, and on top of that, a decentralized system has a ground rails to achieve network effects, right? So today, Akash is serves hundreds of applications, and with customers range, I mean, users ranging all the way from Department of Defense to 25% of Cosmos ecosystem. All of them use because they know for sure that Overclock Labs as a company blows up, they can rely on Akash network without reliance on Overclock Labs, right? It removes one of the biggest attack vectors for stability, which is centralization. And that's why it's very, very important that the foundation of our society is decentralized. And that's why Akash is not a company, it's a protocol, it's a network of companies, right? The mandate for Akash is to ensure that you have sovereignty and scalability at the same time. And that's why you need decentralization. And if any lesson that you had to learn from the last few weeks, the centralization led to the mess we're in, and decentralization is the only way out. So that's why a cloud needs to be decentralized.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Um, Kate, Harshita, where can we go to learn more about Mantra and keep up with you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, you can obviously check out our website. It's mantraomniverse.com. We also have Telegram, Twitter. We're always active on it. We post all our updates and new roadmap and things like that. So if you have any questions, like I said earlier as well, our founders are very active on there. They will respond as well. So yeah, feel free to follow us on all our socials, or simply DM us as well. We'll be here.
Thanks so much. And with that, thanks so much to Greg, Kate, and Harshita for joining us on Spaces today. And a huge thank you to all of you for joining today or listening to this later on. Before we get together next time, Greg, do you have any reminders before I go ahead and start to wrap us up and give our reminders?
Um, I mean, just be excited for tomorrow's Mainnet 4. I'd love to see more deployments for IP addresses. And again, reminder that we won't be doing space next week, Thanksgiving. So hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving dinner. And I know it's times are tough, but you know the tough gets going, right? So when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So stay strong, right? Like thought I had. Oh wow, what's
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. All right, thanks for that, Greg. Yeah, so before we get together, guys, let's keep in touch between spaces. Right now, go sign up for our newsletter at akashnetwork.substack.com. In the About page, check out Zach's link to the blog. Keep an eye out for that Akash community survey that is headed your way very soon. We really want to get to know you guys better. We'll have the survey available for you across all of our social channels, plus a 10,000 AKT prize pool with 2,000 AKT each to 5 randomly selected winners. Head over to Telegram for a Meet the Validators AMA this Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Mondays, look out for our weekly reading competitions on Telegram. Tuesdays, hop on over to Discord for quizzes at 8 a.m. Pacific with 200 AKT and rewards and 5 winners. We had technical difficulties this Tuesday, but we will be back next Tuesday. Also, join us in 2 weeks on Wednesday, November 30th at 8 a.m. Pacific for our next Akash Weekly Spaces with Greg. Tap that set reminder button as soon as we post it. And guys, be sure to try Akash for yourself. To deploy on Akash, check out our documentation at docs.akash.network. Don't forget to go ahead and join our Discord group for additional support. Insiders and others are there to help you guys out. Go ahead and check out our YouTube channel. Alani Kuye walks you through your first deployment there. And be sure to check out documentation for Mainnet 4 upgrade docs. Mainnet 4 is here. Check out akash.network/community and find out how you can spread the word about Akash and help this project grow by becoming an Akash insider. Thank you so much for joining today's event. Thanks again to Greg, Kate, and Harshita for spending time with us. See you guys in 2 weeks with Greg at 8 a.m. Pacific.